Well, since the head gasket repair on the XR was a success and I got to ride it about 300 miles yesterday, it's time to move on and change something else because I can't leave anything alone. The brakes on this bike work really well. I mean, you have to grab more of a handful on the front brakes than I'm used to, but they still stop really well. But the styling of the rotors, I don't necessarily hate it, but it's not my favorite either. So went and got some EBC rotors, make it more like the X model, and I'll be changing out the pads from the stock ones, which I assume are just regular organic pads, put some double H pads on there. So between the rotor and the new pads, it should have quite a bit more initial bite, which is what I'm more used to. So we'll get busy changing this out. Should be pretty straightforward. I haven't had the front wheel off this yet, but got a nut there, probably unscrews or just slides out, I don't know. 2 bolts on each caliper. Should be pretty easy change. All right, that was easy. The nut is a 15/16. Unscrew that. On the back of the right hand fork leg, there's a pinch bolt in the back. You don't have to take it all the way out. I just did because I was going to see if it needed cleaned up. But since these forks are new, it's in good shape. You need what size was it? 10 millimeter 12-point socket to take your calipers loose. Don't give me a hard time about hanging the calipers by the hose. If it was a cast iron car caliper, I wouldn't do that. But these are light, thick rubber hose, metal line up top. It's not going to hurt anything. So you take the nut off, take the pinch bolt out, axle slides out. You have a spacer on each side. And in true Harley fashion, they didn't try to make anything light, because these things are steel and they're heavy. And it's not like there's a seal riding on them. There's no reason these couldn't be made out of aluminum. And if I have any bar stock this big around, they will be made out of aluminum. So I'll go in and check the bearings, unbolt the calipers. I'm going to have to go look up and see what kind of torque specs I need. Oh, these factory rotors are made by Sunstar. They're a pretty good rotor. Need to write down what my front wheel bearings are for future reference. And since my wheel is a little nicked up, I'll probably clean it up and give it a little paint too, because the back wheel is going to be coming off shortly to put a new tire on. I hit the rim of the wheels with a little bit of 600 grit just to knock down some of the dings. I'm not going to try to get these things perfect because they're wheels and I ride the bike a lot. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll give it a quick shot of satin black. But before I head to the car wash, I wanted to point out one thing that I really liked. Check that out. These wheels are made by Inky. And even got the HD on there. If you're not familiar with Inky, they make, in the tuner import world, they make some dang fine Japanese made wheels. I mean, if I still had a tuner car, I'd have Inkies on it. So, and the part that really impresses me is this thing has Inkies. The Buells, well, Eric Buell designed a seriously fancy lightweight wheel with the ZTL braking, so all the spokes could be ultralight, and then had them made in China. And that's all it said on them, made in China. So, never did like the wheels. These I like. They're kind of big and heavy, but you're not going to break one of them. So, off to the car wash. She's all done for tonight. I like it. That looks sweet. Just took it, reused the caliper bolts, just cleaned them up, Loctited them, 20 foot-pounds. Just putting it all back together, just reverse taking it apart. Got new double H centered pads on both sides. And it just looks sweet. I gave the rim a quick coat of paint just to shine it up a little bit from where it was dinged up. I have not changed the spacers yet. I did have bar stock, but I just wanted to get the bike back on the ground tonight. So I've took all the measurements of the spacers in here, and next time I have a rainy day, I'll cut some spacers out, and then when I go to put my new tires on, get some new lighter weight spacers. Cut down on that unsprung weight, which those rotors are considerably lighter than the stock ones too. So that took a little bit of unsprung weight off. So I haven't got to ride it. I didn't want to take it out just for a little bit. I want to take it out and ride it, get a good chance to seat the pads in, make sure everything's going good, and it's supposed to rain the next few days. So maybe Memorial Weekend before I get it out again. And I took Friday off, so I may be gone all day Friday. Oh, and when I do get to ride it and try it out and get them bedded in good, I'll report back on that to see if that was how much of a performance mod that was versus a cosmetic mod. I mean, if it works half as good as it looks, it ought to be pretty impressive.